Thank you very much, Catherine, and thanks to the Deputy Mayor for her inspiring remarks. I'm actually very happy on behalf of Habitat to be part of this closing panel because I think we have witnessed over the last 2 days something truly special, truly magnificent here in Paris. Yesterday at the Académie du Climat and now today at Sorbonne. I think these are two symbols of iconic symbols of how public policy and research are coming together in a very concrete place that has always been ambitious in terms of urban development and climate. So this was an ideal location to celebrate this first global conference on proximities, sustainable proximity. So this was a fantastic choice, fantastic location, and I'm really grateful to the collaboration between Sorbonne, between the City of Paris, between UCLG and Habitat, and all the teams that have been working behind the scenes to make this happen for a truly, I would say, very efficient, but also very enjoyable conference. At least that's the way I experienced it. Anyway, we have heard yesterday and today the urgency of this topic, the housing crisis, the equity crisis, the climate crisis. There's a care crisis, and we believe that urban proximity can provide an answer for cities and for neighborhoods to address these crises in a very constructive and integrated way. It's not just a planning concept. Planners like to integrate different elements, but it is actually a shift in thinking and paradigm for bringing together housing, mobility, and governance into something more cohesive where people are at the center of the urban fabric. And I think this is what we have seen yesterday and today through all the presentations. That's the spirit of the proximity philosophy. Over these 2 days, we can say that there are a number of principles that are transpiring through the different approaches and the different concepts of sustainable urban proximity. And I'm going to try and list them. We have identified 7 such principles, and we're going to share them with you after the meeting in a kind of methodological note for your consideration. One is the issue of affordable city where everyone has access to security of tenure, adequate housing, water, sanitation, and food. Second is a resilient city where biodiversity is protected, waste is managed, roads are safe, and green spaces are abundant. It is also a caring city where public transport is accessible, walking and cycling are safe, and commuting does not steal time from life. A smart city where digital infrastructure and e-governance are tools to empower citizens and enhance transparency. It is also an inclusive city where public space, cultural venues, schools and sports facilities are open and welcoming to all. It is a thriving city where decent jobs, healthcare, and connectivity are within reach. And finally, it's a just city where participation is meaningful, data is disaggregated, and governance is accountable. So these are the 7 principles that we feel we can extract from all your interventions, all your presentations, all these emerging case studies of sustainable proximities. But also we feel that this concept is contributing to different global agendas. Of course, to the Paris Agreement, as the Deputy Mayor has explained, but also to the SDGs, particularly SDG 11.1 on adequate housing, to the New Urban Agenda, and many other global agendas. This is truly an integrator contributing to many global agendas, which is particularly important, obviously, to UN Habitat. And that is why we came together, the 4 of our organizations, and created this global observatory of sustainable proximities. And it is a milestone in creating this, and for this grouping of partners, for us, this is the first exposure, the first global conference where we had invited you, and we're very happy that you came from all parts of the world physically to Paris, and also online to reflect and think and celebrate this movement. This observatory is committed to do three things: to create conceptual integrity on this sometimes difficult to grasp concept of proximities. We have heard a lot on this today, developing frameworks, indicators, and tools for that. Secondly, to capacity development. We know there's a lot of capacity that is required, training urban practitioners, sharing methodologies, but also to support cities in tracking their transition towards sustainable proximities. So we are committed to disseminate good practices, collect good practices, as we have heard over the past 2 days, and also make sure that this local action adds up to some global progress. We are in this together with a shared methodology that is emerging, and after this meeting we're going to share with all the participants this conceptual framework that we believe could be used in the work that you're doing. And to make that happen and to move from concepts and isolated practice to real political movements, there's a number of things that are required. One is political commitment. Of course, we need advocating. We need much more advocacy for proximity-based planning. We need stronger local capacity and stronger institutions that are promoting this. We need to engage with communities in a participatory way to co-creation and decision-making towards this. We need measurable indicators and strong data collection on this topic. We need to integrate this in multi-scale planning. It's not only about sustainable neighborhoods and proximity at neighborhood level. We need to look at different scale levels in a multi-scale level. Innovations in design need to be promoted, and finally, the progress need to be shared in a transparent manner to make sure that what we promise is also measurable in terms of economic benefit, in terms of more green outcomes and more just outcomes. So with that, we call on everyone who has been here yesterday and is here today and has followed this proceedings online to put your best effort in your own networks, in your own communities, in your own universities, in your own institutions, to seize the moment and move from a good practice to a global movement on sustainable proximities. And for that, I thank you on behalf of the 4 organizations for your contribution to that, and wishing you a good continued stay in Paris. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone. I really like to be in between Paris, UN Habitat, and the Sorbonne University TI Chaire, because I think that what we come to reflect today, it's a two-day reflection that goes well beyond. Raf mentioned that the moment is crucial, that we are all identifying the need for action, but one thing that I liked in particular for this two-day conference is that normally these kind of gatherings look too much into the crisis, but not that much into the solutions. We've been bringing solutions these last 2 days, and solutions that look into how to create a future that is collective. We often talk from the local and regional government's perspective of urban futures. It goes beyond that. It's not about urban futures anymore. It's about having a future at all. So to have a collective future that is vibrant, that is egalitarian, you need to put proximity. And put proximity not, as Raf was saying, and as has been said widely throughout these 2 days, not only as a planning principle, but as a political imperative. From the constituency I represent and the organization I represent, UCLG, proximity has always been at the core of our municipal movement. And proximity, we were saying it these days, it's not about physicality, it's not about being close to places, it's about making them accessible. And making them accessible through services. And at the core of the municipal movement is delivering public services that are universal, that are accessible, and that actually foster not only egalitarian ways of living, but also inclusion. For us, we have in Paris a very good example of how this political leadership is at the core of any public policy, not only looking into urban planning. Paris is a great example, and it's a champion that goes well beyond the work that we do as this observatory, and that goes well beyond urban planning in itself. It's a global reference for cities that are leading change and that are linking what it's done at the local level, with global implications, what we call together localization of the global agendas, and here we work very closely from UCLG with UN Habitat in this endeavor, and the observatory, it's also a good testament of this, with this partnership together with our dear friends of the ETRI Chaire. So when we look at proximity, one thing that I wanted to highlight from these conversations is that many speakers have mentioned the idea of bringing relevant actors to the table. So having actual meaningful engagement of local actors is the only way to deliver proximity in a way that will be sustainable and that will answer to the needs and aspirations of the communities. We had a lot of cases yesterday in the roundtables in the afternoon, but the examples presented only minutes ago by the deputy mayor in Paris are also the same. You don't have effective policies if you don't bring inclusivity and those that will be affected by those policies as co-creators. So this is also a ask that when we go to the multilateral level, we ask. This co-creation needs to go global. It's not only about designing policies at the urban level, it has to go global. This is the multilateralism that it's ready or will not be ready to deliver. In UCLG, we call this local multilateralism, and we understand it as a vehicle to rebuild trust, a vehicle to build inclusion, a vehicle to give agency to those that are governed and to give them dignity, and also to create collective identities and build in a collective manner. For us, and with this I will conclude, it doesn't make sense to try to achieve the global agendas without putting the local level at the core. And with this, we need to put proximity. Because proximity is when we talk about how do we impact the daily lives of people. And this is the way, by delivering concrete projects, and again, the reference of Paris, the concrete mission that Paris has, is impacting citizens, is changing how the city is delivering for their citizens. So with this conference, and thanks, Raf, for mentioning this is the first gathering. We launched this 2 years ago in the World Urban Forum, but it's the first time that we have managed to bring all this critical mass, all these thinkers together in an auditorium for 2 days, and not only present the work that's been advanced, but also co-create what's next. And for us, let us think of this conference as a stepping stone in the proximity movement, not only to implement it worldwide and try to make it the mainstream for urban planning, but also as an imperative to achieve the global agendas. I will conclude with a big and warm thanks to the City of Paris for hosting us for these 2 days, and can't wait for the next one. Thank you.
Hello again. I am in charge to deliver a few words for closing this scientific day and even to close these 2 days. First of all, my regrets for our colleague Karina Curtit, and she's doing better now. She has recorded your presentation. Thank you, the rest. I have just 2 news. Bad news in a good news. The bad news, it is the end. really, really bad news for me. I am in our team very, very happy to welcome you, to different colleagues around the world. Thank you to Amphithéâtre, thank you to UCLG, thank you to the city of Paris, and thank you to my team. And thank you for each one of you for your presence, your commitment, your interest, for continuing to develop this global movement. And the good news, I will be very, very shortly. And I wanted to just to evoke our availability for continuing to explore these worldwide sustainable proximities today, tomorrow, and for the future. Thank you for coming to Paris. Thank you for coming yesterday to the town hall. Thank you for coming today at Sorbonne University. Just for concluding, in this same room, 5th November 1906, we had, for the first time in the history of France, a woman that has delivered a lesson. The Nobel Prize, two Nobel Prize, Marie Curie. And this is we have the souvenir for evoking this historical moment in the science in France. And today, in 2025, in the 5th September, I want to pay a tribute to another woman that has totally committed for this event, our director, Catherine Gall. I wanted to warmly thank. And ladies and gentlemen, the game is over.